Hello and welcome to Six Figure Souls, Doing Good and Making Money. This is a special season 5 highlighting my co-authors, our collaborative book, The Ultimate Guide to Creating Your Soul-Aligned Business, 25 Practical Strategies from the Experts. I am your host, Camille Miller, lead author for this book and pioneer of the soul professional movement. Today we have Sydney Thomas with us, and she was the author of Chapter 9, Conquering Mental and Digital Clutter, the success formula for calming the chaos. Thank you, Sydney, for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
So good to have you. So let's start off talking a little bit about you and your work, and then we'll dive into your chapter a little bit. Okay. You want to tell everyone what you do?
Yes, I am what I call a solopreneur success strategist. So what I do is combine about 30 years of professional consulting in a variety of different types of organizations on market research, strategic planning, business development. So I combine all of those business related skills with my coaching skills and merge the two to help female solopreneurs thrive at creating and growing the businesses that they dream of.
I love that. Thank you. So I know this is your first collaborative book, but you have other books on your own. Why did you decide that this was the time to join in a collaborative book?
To be honest, Camille, I didn't decide to do that. In the spirit of full disclosure, I will admit to your audience that you found me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And I was very honored to be invited to participate. I didn't know much about collaborative book projects, so I didn't know what I was saying yes to. But as a soul-aligned professional, I had made a commitment that I was going to be open to receiving opportunities as they presented themselves if they felt in alignment with my purpose. And this one did. So I said yes, even though it was totally outside of my comfort zone. And I have to say, I am so glad that I did, because it's been an incredible experience.
So you told a beautiful and very inspiring story about yourself, and all of the book, I'll just tell our readers, if you haven't read it, every author tells their personal story and then a strategy that helped them build their business, the strategy that they used. Tell us a little bit about your story without giving away the whole chapter, but a little bit about what you shared in your chapter.
I shared my experience of finally, after years of searching, discovering what my purpose was, but for a number of reasons, not feeling ready to commit to it. And the biggest reason, which I'm sure a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs share, is what we call the golden parachute. I had a job making a great salary. I had great benefits. I had a match on my retirement fund, and I had great health insurance. And I just didn't think that I could afford to walk away from all of that and start my own business, because I didn't have a lot of money saved up. And interestingly enough, once I understood what my mission was, but I made a conscious choice not to accept it, things started happening that made it a little bit more uncomfortable to continue at something that wasn't aligned with my purpose. So I talk about that experience of the signs getting more frequent, more painful, and finally, I got to the point where the universe, God, just pushed me off the cliff and said, now is the time. You need to do this. I would not have given you this mission if I wasn't going to give you the resources to make it happen. So that's what I did.
So beautiful. Your story is so inspiring as well. But I think so many of us have that same type of story. I thought there was this common thread through all of the authors, but as you were saying, your story, I recall mine was kind of the same too. Like the universe nudged me until I wasn't listening enough and it just shut the damn door.
Right, exactly.
And it was like, hey, I pushed you in that direction. I gave you this stage and you still didn't speak up.
Yes.
So, it was that kind of a thing. But I love the story of just kind of listening. Like if there's a listener right now that's thinking of taking that dive into entrepreneurship, which I feel like so many of our readers are probably doing. They say right now in America, 1 in 4 people are not going back to the corporate world, and they're on their journeys. And that's why I thought it was such a great time to pull this book together.
Right.
But like you, they had nice salaries, they have benefit packages, they have all of these reasons to stay, even though their work doesn't make their heart sing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think your story helps with that. Okay, I'm ready now. Or what are my signs?
Yeah, exactly. And at some point the question becomes, what else does God have to do to get my attention on this? So I wasn't ready by my standards when I made the choice to leave my career, my full-time career. But apparently it was the right time and I haven't regretted it.
Yeah. I don't think we ever think we're ready.
You're right.
Right. Sometimes you just have to get to the end of the diving board and jump.
Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right.
So, what does soul aligned mean to you?
It means listening to my intuition, listening to the messages that I get in all sorts of ways, in all sorts of places. Sometimes I'll be asking a question and the perfect song will come up, or I'll be asking a question and I end up at the perfect website or the perfect quote shows up on Facebook. I don't believe that there are any coincidences. Yeah. So for me, being soul aligned means doing what my soul tells me is the right thing to do, and being consistent about it. One of the biggest challenges, I think, for a lot of people is we've sort of been acclimated to have 2 lives, a private life and a professional life. And a lot of the tension and a lot of the stress that we have comes from this disconnect between the 2 lives. And being soul aligned meant that I had to merge the 2. And that meant deciding what my priorities were. Is it meeting financial objectives of the organization that I work for? Or is it impacting people in a personal way? Is it a big fat bank account? Or is it knowing I can sleep at night, knowing that there's enough, but that I've made a difference in people's lives? And some of those choices are difficult, but they're choices that we really do need to make.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that you redefined what success was.
Not sex.
Yeah. Success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I feel like the world made it, especially in the 80s and the 90s, very materialistic.
Yeah.
And that was success.
And it still is in a lot of ways. If you look at the popularity of social media influencers and how many millions of followers they get for doing what? Really crazy, outrageous things. And there's so many people that are really trying to make an impact in the world. And it's so hard for them to get that same type of visibility and exposure. But we can't give up. Even if we're helping one person at a time, that's what, to me, helping one person and making a difference in their life is worth much more than thousands of followers who know nothing about me, but who just follow because I've done something crazy.
I totally agree. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts? I know that you specialize with female entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
And do you feel that because there's so many female entrepreneurs coming into the world today and taking these leadership roles in the world today, that is the paradigm shift that's happening in making more of an impact, like aligning their souls with their work? Because the importance is shifting. It's not really about the money and the stuff.
I think that's a great question, and I agree with you completely. I think that culturally and historically, our economy has been very patriarchal. Women haven't been heard, women haven't been seen, and women haven't been, for the most part, given the opportunity to utilize their softer, creative, more feminine energies in traditional corporate workplaces. And I think globally, we've suffered because of that. And I think a lot of people are waking up to the fact that there are kinder and gentler ways to do business. There are kinder and gentler ways to market your services. You were the one who told me a while ago that it's not about going out and chasing and looking for the clients, and that whole process that the experts tell you have to do. It's about being true to yourself, being able to communicate your message authentically, and the right clients will be attracted to you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such an incredible insight. And it's absolutely true. I mean, there's 7 billion people on the planet. There's no way I could serve them all anyway. So rather than using a shotgun approach, trying to reach everybody, why not figure out who I really want to serve, who can really help me, and then focus on attracting those people and serving them well, and the rest will come.
Beautiful. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's the shift that we're seeing in entrepreneurship as a whole today. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing how more and more women are taking their talents and their gifts and their passions and using them in ways that not only provide financial security and passion and purpose in their own lives, but that impact the lives of others. And those are the women that I'm helping every day. And it's just so gratifying.
Amazing. All right, last question. On the overall book, have you read any other authors' chapters? I know you've met some of the other authors, you knew personally, you helped us recruit some of the just fantastic authors that we have. What's your overall thoughts on the book itself?
The book is absolutely amazing. I've skimmed through it, and I hate to admit this, but I am a hard copy book kind of person.
Yeah.
And so I decided intentionally to wait until I had this beautiful book in my hands to start reading. So I got a whole box of books that came over the weekend, and just today I'm going to start reading all of them. But as you said, I've talked to several of the authors. A couple of them I've even started working with based on the work that they do, that they shared in the book. And it's just been incredible. So without even reading their individual stories, meeting so many of them and talking to them one-on-one, this is a group of very passionate, very wise, very generous women who are giving of themselves and their heart in incredible ways. And I am just so thankful to have been a part of this project. So thank you again for inviting me and for giving me this opportunity.
You are welcome. And I so appreciate you being part of the book. When I was putting together the author list, I wanted to make sure that I didn't know everybody. And that's why I was going through LinkedIn. And I really put out in the universe that the right people were going to be drawn into this, that I didn't have to worry. And it did. like it happened. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And it was so incredible for me to read through I didn't read anyone's chapter until right before it went to print. Then I read the whole book just to make sure. But
isn't it amazing?
Yeah, I didn't want to read it along the way. I wanted to read the final. And I was just like, whoa, this was so much better than I even imagined in my head. And so excited to see it hit the charts. Thank you for being a part of it and for helping us, recruit other amazing women to be a part of it. All right, I want to remind everyone that you can find our book, The Ultimate Guide to Creating Your Soul-Aligned Business, 25 Practical Strategies from the Expert. It is on Amazon right now. We did hit the #1 bestseller in starting a business in our first 24 hours out, and we hit 6 other categories and new releases. It was a fabulous release for us. I do recommend getting the book. Like Sydney and myself, I like the hardcover because it has strategies. It's like a workbook and a resource guide. You do not have to read it from cover to finish, cover to cover, because you can really just pick out the stories that you need in this moment and use it as a resource guide. So thank you, Sydney, for being a part of our book and part of our podcast today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And for more information about the Soul Professional Movement, you can go to soulprofessional.com. This podcast is sponsored by the Natural Life Business Partnership, a global professional organization and business incubator for the soul-aligned entrepreneur. If you live in a higher vibration, have an alternative approach to business, and want to help repair the world, join us for our next meet and greet. You can find the next meeting, dates, and times for your time zone at soulprofessional.com. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks, Sydney.
Thank you.